Welcome everyone to this video on covert narcissists. So this is specifically on how the devil uses these people, covert narcissists, to oppress a person. This is something that God has been showing me lately that I apparently had, I won't say a whole slew, but you could consider it that. I've had several people who have been revealed lately to have aspects of covert narcissism, who demons were actually working through these people to drain me of life force. So this has been a operation that I've uncovered by the devil using those with covert narcissist personality characteristics in order to open up that portal for demonic oppression on my part. And let me explain this, because this is actually very interesting, and it's something that I had not really considered until I've been lately sitting back and just seeing and trying to see the whole picture of this operation. So what is oppression? First off, if the devil cannot get to you directly, he can't come through your mind or your heart, and you're consistently putting yourself and immersing yourself in the Word of God on a daily basis, it becomes more difficult, very much more difficult, for the devil to get to you. And so what he does is he will implant these, they're kind of like pawns of the devil around you. And these could be every normal day people. These people may actually be good people. They could just have a few of these characteristics that allow that portal to open and are able to influence you beyond their awareness. And so what the devil's job is, and what the demons want to do, is to frustrate you to the point where you lose your emotional center in God. That's ultimately the goal. They will do things to frustrate you to the point where you will either lash out or just say things outside of your character. And when you do that, once you do that, they will leave and they will disappear, and they'll have virtually no contact with you. Or what they'll do is the person themselves will continue to blame you for things that they have been doing. And so this is a very, very insidious thing that must be uncovered if you are undergoing this yourself. But this is what happened to me. I had people implanted in my life who I was seeing on a regular basis. And what happened was these people they presented very polite in front of me. They presented very kind of almost caring, and in a way almost perfect when they're in my vicinity. The way they came across was like they had everything together, and they may have had some challenges, but they were genuine, right? They presented as genuine people. However, this is how I uncovered the narcissistic tendency, the covert narcissism, because with a covert narcissist, they don't let you know who they are up front. That's kind of on the internal. That's on something you can't necessarily pick up. However, there can be indicators, and I'll go through a couple of these here in a second. But what they started doing to me was constantly changing up the schedule. And again, while they were in my vicinity, they would present fine. They were just awesome people, right? And one of them that comes to mind would almost try to like humble himself in a way to cover up, maybe something going on, or maybe he was genuinely trying to be a good guy. And I think that with many people who are being pawns of Satan, they don't realize it, and they themselves want to be doing right. And when they're in your vicinity, if you happen to be a beacon of light in some aspects, you may actually help lift them out of that darkness while they're around you. And so they may present very, very well when they're in your presence. However, this is what happened. So when they were away from my presence and we were working out scheduling, what would happen is they would make these commitments to meet with me certain days. And this was both professionally and on relationship levels too, on personal relationship, I should say, levels. So friends and also work. And then what they would do is when the time came around for the meeting, they would interject some kind of reason why they couldn't make it. And if this was all it was, that could be potentially normal day occurrences, right? Things come up. But what happened was they would do it continually. And they would also do a thing where they would extend and keep extending their response time back for certain commitments or not give a commitment at all. So the devil operates like this. He wants ambiguity. He wants delay. He wants people to be in a state of uncertainty. Because if you're in a state of uncertainty, this leaves options for him to throw at you that you may latch onto that aren't of your best interest. But if you've decided something for certain and you're going towards a particular goal or a meeting, or maybe it's a church meeting or a Bible study, something that he wants to keep you away from, and you're certain about it, this is kryptonite for the devil, because certainty is something that's hard to get around once you've made something in stone. And so what the devil would do with these people is he would have these people work in an ambiguity type of fashion, an ambiguous type of fashion towards me, to put me in a constant state of flux. And it was only certain people. There were a few of these people who had this embedded covert narcissism that allowed this to come in. And whether they were in fact covert narcissists completely on that spectrum, I don't necessarily believe that. But the embedded belief system was just enough to open up that portal for these demons to work. Now, one may ask themselves, how do I protect myself from thinking that, hey, this is all in my head, or maybe I'm projecting my beliefs onto these people? Well, this is how you tell, and this is important because as one advances themselves in a spiritual fashion, they may be tempted to turn on themselves and to start second guessing themselves and to start thinking that, hey, maybe I'm the problem. Well, this is how you actually discern between the two. You have to know what is integrous and what is of non-integrity. And I related this in the other video like this. You think of it like a building. A building has pillars, it has joists, it has these cross pieces, everything that holds the building together. It has a foundation, it has anchors. This is important for the building to hold its integrity. However, if there are misalignments going on, or if it's not plumb, or it's not level, this can compromise the integrity of the building. So if a person tells you one thing and then they do another thing, this is a non-integrous action. And so that right there is an indication that something's going on, that they're not being forthright. If a person is this very polished, perfect person to your face, and yet when the time comes around for action, they all of a sudden start going back on their word, or now they have all these things that are in the way, or now they have all these excuses. Well, that's not a person of certainty. That's a person of ambiguity. And so what the devil was doing, in this case, this is oppression on me, was he was working through these people to specifically try to frustrate me from all different angles. It was multiple people where they would say one thing and then do another thing. And then if I said anything about it, then they would start turning on me, right? Then they would start getting defensive over it. So I've learned over the years to really kind of try to be patient with people who are unaware of this, because they may not necessarily know that they are being influenced by a force, an external force. And so I try to see the people that this is working through as innocent. And for the most part, we pray that it is. However, sometimes it can't be. Sometimes it can be where they do know what they're doing and they just refuse to do it. And again, this opens up that pathway for that demon to work through. Demons like to work through misaligned people. They hate integrity. They hate people who are forthright, who are certain, who are confident in the Lord. They want to try to shake your confidence. The battle of spirituality is not a battle of physicality. It can be, but usually what it is it's a battle of the heart. They want to make you uncertain. They want to make you frustrated. They want to make you angry. And in the same time, with these covert narcissists, who are basically the portals for these demons, they're just these perfect persons. Why are you angry? You're just changing the schedule. It's just, why are you mad about a schedule change? Well, if you spend several hours preparing to see this person, or you spend a significant amount of time preparing for a session with somebody, and for whatever reason, they keep having interferences over and over and over and over, then something may be going on spiritually with this. And if the person displays this kind of arrogance towards you because you call them out with their failure to follow through with their word, that's not your problem. On the flip side, let's say that I was a person, and this is how you discern between yourself and the external demonic force. If I was a person who was continually doing that to other people, let's say I would make these declarations, I'm going to be here at this certain time, we're going to have this meeting, and then I didn't follow through with it, I never let them know, or if I did, it was always last minute, and just sloughing them off and not paying much attention to them and not caring, going into apathy towards this person. Then I would start thinking to myself, well, maybe I'm kind of law of attracting this into my life. Maybe this is karmic debt that I need to pay for my own actions because I've been doing that to other people. And so there was a whole phase in my life where that was actually true. And it was primarily in my 20s, where I had to uncover a lot of things that I was doing to bring certain circumstances onto myself that were just circular type of circumstances for me to learn a lesson. However, once you've resolved these things and you're actually paying attention to how you're operating, to how you're proceeding through life, to how you're treating people, you're intense with people, and you've fleshed out the negativity and the inconsistencies and the incongruencies, and so you've worked to cleanse yourself from loads of that. Not to say that you're by any means perfect, but you've cleared out enough to see clearly. At that point, you can start to discern what is an actual demonic influence and what is something that is just a personal influence. You can also start to look at patterns. Demons operate through patterns. This latest oppression that I've been dealing with has been a giant pattern where it was multiple people who had these covert narcissist tendencies that were working to frustrate me because the devil liked that. He knew he could push my buttons that way by constantly changing up the schedule, constantly either canceling or maybe even blaming me for something that I didn't even do. But it was because they my response to how they were affecting my schedule too. So they would try to turn it, oh, it's your fault. When I'm not the person who's being inconsistent. I'm not the person who's being non-integrous. It was them who were doing it. But the devil will try to flip it on you. And that's the trick. That's the manipulation right there. The devil wants to flip it to make it like you're the problem. So the way to see this and to isolate this and to come to terms with it is really awareness. When you see it happening and you start to pay attention, then you can start to spot it, and then you can start to pray for these people. And let me tell you something. When you start praying for these people and you start praying for your own protection and others' protection around you, then it'll start clearing in your heart. You'll start seeing and having peace in your heart. You'll start feeling better about it because you spotted the actual problem. So be aware of these covert narcissists. They can be portals for demons. They can and will attack you in certain circumstances, especially if you're unaware. And be sure to put your foot down and to stand up and respect yourself and to call things out as needed. I also suggest patience, because patience drives demons crazy. And when they're trying to frustrate you, if you don't give these people much credence, the ones who are constantly trying to change things up and frustrate you, then it's easier to have patience. But if you're kind of clinging on to their decision and waiting around for them and worrying about if they're going to follow through, don't do that. Once you've seen an indication that that may be going on, really try to back up for a second and just have patience and prayer. Pray for them in Jesus Christ and protect yourself from them, because when you do that and you do that correctly, the Lord will see that and he will be happy in you, and he will give you his peace. So I hope this has brought some insight, at least with my particular situation, but maybe in your situation too. Have you dealt with covert narcissists? Are you aware of anything like this going on in your life? Feel free to comment below. Look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you next time.